Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week with the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James the Fat Man Stevens.
Hello.
Rob the Old Guy.
You're listening to the Rob Charney Show.
Yes, it's me.
You're listening to the
I'm going to say it twice just to make sure you get it the first time.
And the man who could win the Yosemite Sam lookalike contest, Ryan Preston.
Sunday. Sorry, I just felt like I should have some kind of a catchphrase.
We all have to have something. See, I've got mine. Everybody just needs to start making their drops.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to have their own drops, and then we'll just cue them up.
Just have the battling soundboards.
That's right. We'll go for
Whole
it.
Podcast full of memes and sound effects.
Why not?
I mean, I've heard worse.
Absolutely.
So everybody can hear that. Everybody's heard stories about mistakes from a restaurant can be deadly, dangerous, or just lead into an argument. Well, apparently too much mayonnaise in a sandwich was fatal for a restaurant worker.
The fatal mayonnaise?
Oh, yeah. Heard about this.
Atlanta police are investigating a shooting that left one woman dead and another in critical condition. The mayhem broke out after a customer complained about too much mayo on a sandwich. One evening on June 26, police responded to a gas station about a person shot. When they arrived, they learned two women had been shot after an altercation about the amount of mayo on a Subway sandwich.
Lord.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey. Come on.
Yeah, some people don't have a scale of angry. They've got not angry and they've got 10.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no in between. Some situations require a 2. Some require a 4, some require a 6. Really anything beyond that in any kind of polite society, you're going to probably just let it go at that point. Like, okay, there's no need to get this to an 8, 9, or 10, because that's pretty apocalyptic.
I'm assuming there's got to be some sort of meth involved, just like ramping it up over mayo. However, having had somebody put too much mayo in a sandwich and it squirts out on you, I can understand wanting to punch somebody, but I'm not quite sure about wanting to shoot
Well, if
them.
I'm not wearing a suit, I kind of like mayonnaise.
I mean, look, obviously these things can start as, hey, there's too much mayonnaise. And then the person barks back a little bit. And now it's not about the mayonnaise anymore. Now it's about the person's attitude that just came back at you that started as mayonnaise, and this shit just boils over immediately. I mean,
I bet that the sandwich preparer could have de-escalated everything by saying, absolutely, I'm sorry about that. Let me remake the sandwich for you.
Well, aren't they
and
sandwich?
Would have been over.
Aren't they?
Right?
Isn't a sandwich artist or a sandwich engineer, whatever they have some sort of fancy title?
Yeah, sandwich artist. I was a sandwich artist for 10 minutes.
I don't know. It's a sandwich barista.
With that beard, they don't look. Looks like they don't let you near schools. Never mind a sandwich.
Oh, I was quite baby faced at the time. I shaved this off. I'm 22 again.
Me too.
So this is from High Times. This made me laugh. And here's the headline: Maryland court, cops can question someone who smells like pot. And in my state, that would be almost everybody, depending on where you are. Officers in Maryland may stop and question an individual who smells like cannabis. Yet less than 10 grams of the drug is still not a crime in Maryland. So I'm not quite sure why you'd be asking. And what's that?
Nothing new in California. If you drive a car and you get pulled over for a traffic infringement, your taillight's out and they stop you. Smelling like weed in your car is reasonable suspicion.
Even though
it's not probable cause yet, but it's reasonable suspicion to continue your search.
Well, the biggest problem is when you roll the window down and all the smoke wafts out.
Yeah, that's when you get the probable cause.
Yeah, there you go.
But reasonable suspicion is still a legal term that the cop can then continue his investigation. He can get you out of the car. He can, do DUI, stuff. Same thing. If you see, a bag of an unknown substance on the seat. Okay, well now I got probable cause. But smelling like weed is like, okay, there was potentially weed in this vehicle soon or still currently.
But in the state of California, under an ounce is 100% legal. Matter of fact, you can go to a local dispensary, whatever it's called. That's right. They make it in a vat,
pot shop,
and get in it. So that's still shocking to me.
I'm pretty sure you can still buy quite a bit more than an ounce legally.
Really? I always thought it was just an ounce.
Oh no. I think growers can have up to like I don't know, some crazy amount, but I swear to God, it's got to be more than that.
Well, I just meant like average Joe on the street who decides he wants to partake in the green leafy vegetable. I thought they could.
I know average Joe on the street who's had a couple of ounces delivered to his house.
Wow.
Huh.
That's a lot.
I mean, yeah. It wasn't for like that day.
I hope not. He'd be busy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't think there's enough time in the day to do that.
But Snoop Dogg.
Maybe Snoop Dogg could. I mean, we were talking about how much he smoked last week.
Yeah, Ryan missed that show where we talked about
but at the same time, he's not just smoking all of that weed himself, that he's lighting a blunt and passing it to 14 different people in the posse.
Possibly. Yeah. But his blunt roller did get his raise.
Well, that's good. I mean, inflation.
Exactly.
And we do know that Snoop Dogg is afraid of Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie Nelson smoked him under the table.
Yeah.
So did you guys hear the most famous Hell's Angel of all time passed away?
And the founder, wasn't he?
Sonny
One
Barger,
of the founders?
yeah. Well, he was the founder of the Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels, and Sonny Barger passed away at 83 years of age. And considering everything he was through, it just blew my mind that he lived that long. But anyway, yeah, Sonny Barger passed away.
He had a Facebook post actually. Let me see if I can find it. Where he at the end of it he said, was it Hamco, Hell's Angels Mother Chapter? So I guess Oakland is considered the Mother Chapter, which I didn't actually realize.
There's all kinds of nuances that I don't understand either, and it's fine that I don't.
Hey, I watched Sons of Anarchy for half a season.
But anyway,
sorry.
I'm just impressed. He did die of liver cancer, but still, he lived to 83 years of age, and I'm just very impressed with that. So you can be a badass and ride a motorcycle and live total. I beg your pardon. And live a long life.
Somebody's throwing their voice.
James's voice got a lot higher all of a sudden.
So
apparently.
Here's one for Ryan. This is from never mind, I can't pronounce it. NIRISS. One of Webb's primary instruments is now fully ready to see the universe.
Oh, James
Webb.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been looking forward to that for probably realistically about a decade is when I think I heard about it. I think it was in development for 30 some odd years.
Yeah, I think they started designing it that long back, and then it's.
By the way, this satellite looks like it's from the Buck Rogers TV show from the 70s. It's like it looks ridiculous, but
it is very sci-fi. I love it.
Well,
the amount of moving parts on that is ridiculous.
That's the part that's amazing about the James Webb Telescope is that all these mirrors are constantly adjustable and changes, and it's just incredible their ability to control that thing. And from what I read on one of the sites recently, the photographs that they're already getting are apparently mind-blowing, and they're going to be releasing them shortly. And so we're all kind of waiting to see some of this stuff. It should be just for us geeks who want to geek out about space stuff.
The near-infrared imager and slitless spectrograph instrument, one of James Webb's Space Telescope's 4 primary scientific instruments, has completed its post-launch preparation and is now ready to observe the universe. Each of Webb's 4 instruments is designed to study a wide range of objects and phenomena in the cosmos, including planets, stars, galaxy, gas clouds, debris, disks, black holes, and dark matter. NIRISS will provide near-infrared images and spectroscope capability as is the only instrument capable of aperture mask infotrophy is unique ability to capture images of bright objects at a resolution greater than other objects. This is cool. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the images because I know when the other space telescope came up, you saw some amazing pictures.
Oh yeah, yes. And this, I mean, is so many like hundreds or thousands of times better than like Hubble.
Yeah,
that's it. The Hubble Space Telescope.
Yeah, that's going to be very impressive. At least that's what we hear. I'm looking.
Oh
forward
yeah,
to
the way
seeing
they've been talking about it for especially the last couple of years. I mean, is like, oh no, that planet that we saw in the Goldilocks zone and Alpha Centauri, we're gonna like look at the surface.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's a lot further out than Hubble, and
Isn't
so
it near
that's
the
another
moon?
benefit. What's that?
Isn't it near the moon or something
No,
like
it's
that?
near the sun.
Yeah, it's near the sun.
And
Oh,
it's
really?
got its back to the sun at all times. So wherever the sun is, it's the back is facing the sun, orbiting around the sun. So the light is never in those mirrors. It's only collecting the light from what's in front of it in deep space.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
So
Jake,
I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say, but you have to be a real geek to be excited about it.
So
Well, yeah.
in something I'm kind of excited about, the Quizax Hatterack, Kyle McLaughlin joins Amazon's show based on the popular video game Fallout. So the Twin Peaks star is going to be on it. I'm kind of excited, but I want to see. I'm hoping to see Lord of the Rings and see how Amazon does with that before I say I'm gonna watch this. What do you think? Anybody interested in it?
They're making a show
Yeah.
Yeah,
for Fallout.
Yeah.
like video games on which it is based. The Fallout series is set in a world where the future envisioned by America in the late 1940s explodes upon itself through a nuclear war in 2077. Fallout is expected to begin filming somewhat later this year. Geneva Roberts Dwart and Graham Wagner are the showrunners and executive producers of the series, with Todd Howard of Bethesda Game Studios, James Altman of Bethesda Works, and Athena Wickman, Jonathan Nolan, and Lisa Joy of Kittler Films. Amazon Studios and Kittler Films are producing the series and associated with Bethesda Game Studios.
Interesting. Wow, that's cool. Maybe I heard about that and just forgot they were talking about a show.
Well, my only thing is if they do it like they did the Wheel of Time, I have no interest.
So was it that bad? I was never into the books enough to actually watch the show.
Yes,
I
was
tried.
a massacre.
It was not great.
You know, I actually figured out that it's basically like they're going to do a book a season, but there's so much in the books that it's like it's just a disconjointed mess,
A shell of itself.
and you have no idea what the hell's going on most of the time, and it's like they just don't explain anything, and they're just trying to cram as much content into each season and episode that they possibly can, and just kind of give you a brief overview of what's going on, and then they just go on to something else that they don't explain.
I'm very confused at this.
Terrible.
The book series, isn't it like 7 or 8 books?
They're going to fix it in the second season, but apparently they are going to do a second season. I just don't see it going anywhere. I see them kind of doing maybe 1 or 2 seasons and failing.
So, James, I watched it, not having any knowledge of what it was really all about. And I didn't feel as disjointed about it as you did, apparently, because I kind of just went along with it. And all right, I mean, I was willing to let kind of that, well, how did this happen? Okay, let's just watch what goes on. Versus, well, I understand the backstory and I understand how, it's supposed to be. And so maybe it wasn't really for people that really knew the story.
Well, and I'll tell you what, a buddy of mine read the books, and I don't know, James, sounds like you might have also. But the guy that I know read the books, old coworker of mine, I mean, who's very, very, very into, high fantasy, grim, dark fantasy. I mean, that's definitely his jam. Sold it to me like it was the greatest damn book series that he's ever read, bar none. Screw Lord of the Rings, screw, what's goddamn the other one?
By the way, our
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Thank you.
Our dearly departed Jeff Michael, the former another co-host of Real Flicks Reviews, said the same thing to me about Wheel of Time, and I fell in love with Lord of the Rings at like the very start of the paragraph. I've read or listened to half the book and just couldn't get into it.
Well,
Of Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
I will tell you the first book just really doesn't sell it.
Really?
I'm in like book 6. There's 14 of them.
Holy crap.
And I really enjoy it. So I'm all the way at book 6 and I'm enjoying it. But I can see why a lot of people aren't into it, because It took me probably a year to finish the first book.
So it's like
Because
reading the
I kept
legend.
on going to other things.
Yeah.
So it's like reading the legend of
I'm
Drizzt
at a
series.
stage where I'm going, I just don't have that much time left. If that book takes me that long to get into, forget it. I'll go
And
somewhere
I
else.
totally understand that too. But I mean, like the series, like I mean, like I said, at the point when I started watching the show, I was about 3/4 of the way through the book, the first book, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Because I mean, I didn't even finish it, and I'm like, why the hell are they doing it like this? So maybe they redeem it in season 2, but
or maybe not.
I don't see how they can, but they're going to have to do a lot of work to catch up.
So I did want to talk about the Fallout TV series because I completely forgot that Walton Goggins is supposed to be the lead in this role. And along with having Kyle McLaughlin, is that how you say his name? From David Lynch's Dune. Those two in there, I could be interesting. I'm kind of curious in what they play.
And I'm really excited for Walter Goggins being in it.
Yeah, no, that dude can do no wrong by me. He can play the shark from Jaws.
He deserves his own show. So I'm really hoping he's able to carry it. And
yeah, he's one of the better character actors that's come out of the last hand. I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff. James and I think first saw him Justified, probably.
Yep.
No, the Shield.
No, actually, Shield.
That's the first time I saw him.
Oh, right.
So he was in the Shield, Justified, and then Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, a little bit of Sons of Anarchy is a crazy character. And then Hateful Eight, his character from Tarantino's Hateful Eight might be one of my favorite characters ever written.
He's got the look of a crazy person. I mean,
So
he
good.
doesn't he? Yeah, he really does. So that's why I
He
think
can act like it too.
Doing drag in
Sons
of Anarchy, that's just great.
So good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. Not to change to a different thing, but I'm going to. Y'all familiar with the works of Neil Gaiman?
Yes.
Sandman, August.
Yeah.
So is it being released in August?
It's being released in August, not filmed. They're done filming it.
Live action?
This one I've been looking forward to for a while. Neil Gaiman has done a couple of adaptations of his novels. This one's a graphic novel. And if anybody hasn't seen or heard of The Sandman, I very much recommend DC Comics. Neil Gaiman, The Sandman is something else. It's very, very dark, but very, very good.
So I'm excited for that. Is it live action?
It will be live action. Yeah.
So let's hope this
the comic
turns out.
book is not live action though. They drew it on paper.
Let's hope it's better than 2011's Priest. They haven't had a great non-Marvel graphic novel live action.
Yeah, and this is deep core, DC stuff right here. The stuff that DC is really, really good at.
Oh shit, we're screwed.
Neil Gaiman's had a couple of adaptations of his things. One of my favorite novels of all time is American Gods, and they did a couple of seasons of, I want to say 3 seasons on. I think it might have been Stars.
Stars, yeah.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. Ian McShane played the titular character. The casting was great. The story was actually being told well, and he kind of gave some room for the showrunners to do what they wanted to do. They changed, quite a bit, but I felt still kind of kept in the spirit of the novel. Also, because the novel took place, I want to say about 20 years before. 10, 15 years before the show itself takes place, they had to update things, so I get it. He also did another book with Terry Pratchett called Good Omens, which released as a miniseries on Amazon, which was really fantastic if you were a fan of the book. It might be the most faithful adaptation from book to anything else I've ever seen.
Didn't Terry Pratchett do Discworld? Wasn't that his thing?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But so, he's talked about Sandman, as far as like, hey, how much, people have asked him, how much involvement are you going to have in this adaptation? He's like, well, more than American Gods and less than Good Omens. So it almost seems like he's found his happy medium of okay, I can have these opinions about these and let these guys go from there, but I don't have to oversee every single syllable said by characters.
So we're gonna switch off to something in a true, I guess, showing that justice always prevails. 101-year-old former Nazi concentration camp guard sentenced to 5 years in prison. So his retirement is behind a jail cell.
Yeah, but how old is he?
101 years old.
Yeah, so he gets a 5-year sentence, which is more than likely a death sentence.
So, yeah. This is from CNN.com. A 101-old former Nazi concentration guard has been sentenced to 5 years in prison by a German court for aiding and abetting the murder of 3,518 people during the Holocaust. The man has been charged in 2021 with knowing and willfully aiding and abetting killing of prisoners in... I'm sorry, it's a German word I can't pronounce. Too many letters. North of Berlin from January 42 to February 45. I was shocked when I saw this because I figured 101 years old, even the United States would just like, let the guy die at home. I was really impressed by this.
He doesn't get a pass. I don't care how old you are.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, no, and I'm still kind of low-key pissed off I didn't get to see his face.
Yeah, that was kind of bullshit. They should have made him. Is there a mug shot?
You know, something. Just
there may be. I don't know.
Because
we show all the mass shooters' face and give them all the fucking press in the world, but this Nazi piece of shit, he gets anonymity.
Yeah.
Somebody show his face and buy a billboard in Germany.
Huh.
And this should make.
Go ahead.
You guys got a story? I got another one.
I have just one more. A person passing that. Brings me back to my late 60s, early 70s. I don't know how many of you knew of Seals and Crofts.
Mm-hmm.
So, Seals and Crofts, their famous songs was Summer Breeze and Diamond Girl, and very, very famous songs. And Jim Seals passed away at 80 here just a few days ago. And it's very much kind of a hippie thing, but the songs are iconic at the time.
So they are best known for their hits Summer Breeze, Diamond Girl, Get Closer.
Yeah. If you heard it, you'd probably go, oh, yeah, I've heard that song. But at the time, when they were really popular, they were on the radio all the time. So it was very, very much something of the 60s, 70s type sounds. So
yeah, definitely in heavy rotation in my home growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's sad to say, a lot of my music friends and people that I've listened to for a very long time, we're all turning to dust here, and it's.
I'll tell you, that's actually kind of the double-edged sword about being into like super old things. 100%. Not super old, but like I grew up listening to my dad's music, which he's born in 54, so
right.
His music was mid 60s to mid 70s thereabouts in his heyday. So that was all the stuff I had before I had my own music.
Right.
So being a fan of, the Who and Zeppelin and, Seals and Croft and,
it goes on and on.
David Bowie. I mean, all these people who've since passed, it's like I got into them at an age where, in my youth, I'm going to watch all of these guys start to die. Not in your age, no. Where it's kind of natural to be like, oh, you know what? Hey, some of my elders are starting to pass away. When you're 65, that's fine. It's like I'm 37 and I'm like, oh my God, all these people I like are dying.
That's always been my fault personally, like in my music, because like I never really hung out with a lot of people my age, and like a good deal of the friends from back in the day have been dead for quite a while. Or all the bands I want to see, they're either going to be taking the hits of Metamucil while going on with a walker, or they've been dead for 40 years.
Yeah, well, here's the real head kicker to me is or was to me back in the day. I was a big fan. My mom got me into Laurel and Hardy. Okay. Old movies, for anybody who doesn't know, they're old black and white movies. I mean, from the 40s, I want to say.
Yeah, I thought they were earlier.
Yeah, Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy
correct
were these, I mean, two kind of like vaudeville type, you know, guys who, you know, contemporaries of like the Marx Brothers and, you know, folks like that who did these movies, these little duo movies of, you know, Laurel and Hardy, you know, go on little adventures. They did a version of Babes in Toyland. All of this is to get around to say we went to Universal Studios one day, and I was probably like 9 years old or something. And Universal Studios was the studio that put out all the old Oliver and Hardy stuff. So they had a couple of guys who were, you know, quote, Oliver and Hardy, you know, standing around doing their shtick. And I looked over, you know, we're walking down, you know, whatever, the little main drag, and I look over and I fucking spot Oliver and Hardy. I'm like, Mom, look over there. That's Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. And they heard me say this, and they, you know, I mean, what? You're an Oliver and Hardy impersonator, and some 9-year-old knows who you are. Yeah. Like they're excited, so they're like, "Holy shit, some kid knows right. This shtick, right?" Right. So they're starting to kind of walk over, and my mom looks at me and just reacted. She didn't think about it at all, and she's like, "Honey, Oliver and Hardy have been dead for a long time." I was goddamn crestfallen. I looked over.
But they're over there, Mom. They're over there.
Yeah, and Stan Laurel always used to do. They always used to wear bowler hats.
Right.
This shows you how old this is. These were bowler hats, and he'd do this shtick where he would put it on, and it would bounce off of his head. You know, appear to bounce off of his head, and he would catch it and put it back on his head, and it would bounce off his head again. Old vaudeville type of trick, right? And he starts to do that shit, and I just ghosted this guy. I just looked at him and rolled my eyes like, "You're not Oliver and Hardy," and walked away sobbing.
Have you?
And they walked over all excited, like, "This kid knows who we are," and then he just walked away like, "Oh, did we do something wrong?" Like, "No, my mom just told me you're dead. Sorry."
Have you harassed your mom about that since?
Oh, like, yeah, I told her about it, and she was actually upset. She's like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." I'm like, "There's no way you would have."
You know, for her next birthday, you should get her like a Laurel and Hardy poster or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she had no idea what it would do to me, but I didn't realize that it was that old, that it wasn't like, "Hey, dude, there they are. I've seen these guys on TV." That's the only math I did in my head, you know?
Yeah.
The innocence of youth. Lost that day.
So another movie coming out that's going to make a certain type of person very happy, and these people were very... I knew a lot of them back in the day. Hokus Pokus 2 trailer is out. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy something other returns for Disney.
Kathy Najimy, how dare you?
The Jimmy.
Okay, if you say so. Lock up your children, Bette Midler says, an official teaser trailer for Hokus Pokus 2, which drops on Disney Plus September 30th.
Wow.
So I got a question real quick. So is dropping to your streaming a thing of choice? Is that available at your VHS at Walmart now?
Say what? What?
So, I think you lost all of us.
You know, back in the day, you'd see a trailer on television for a movie, and you say, you know, buy it at Walmart, April 30th.
Oh, this is. Are you equating it to the direct to TV or direct to video?
Because back in the day, the reason it went direct to video because it wasn't good enough. And it would be too expensive to put it in theaters. So they dropped it to video to hopefully they'd recuperate half the cost. So is that what this is? Is this movie so bad we don't want to put it in theater?
I think that's exactly what it is. And or just, hey, we don't have a lot of faith that the younger generation, which is in fact my generation, is going to come out in droves to see this one, you know?
Well, it depends also on how the movie is produced. I mean, is it designed to be a streaming movie? Is it designed to be a theatrical movie? Sure. What was it designed for?
Sure. And there's something that people don't realize. There are movies that were designed for big screen and then movies that were designed for home theater.
Exactly.
And that didn't start until really maybe the mid to late 80s when people started actually formatting their stuff for, hey, this is going to come out on home movie, you know?
Right.
There is.
So yeah, that's a new thing of, you know, remember back in the day, anybody old enough, hopefully I doubt we've got a lot of 19-year-olds tuning in, but you know, we all remember the thing at the beginning of every single VHS tape we ever had was, I used to remember all the wording of this. This motion picture has, you know, some version of this has been formatted to fit your screen.
Oh yeah.
You know,
from its original
and that-
theatric release.
Right. Yeah. It has been formatted to fit your screen, which is basically like, hey, we cropped the shit out of this so it would fit on your TV.
Yeah.
So the one thing I don't know is I don't remember Hocus Pocus in '93 being on a whole lot of theaters. So it and I
don't either.
I remember
think I saw it in the theater.
If I remember correctly, it was on Sacramento. I think it was on either a crappy mall theater or like that theater that had dollar movies on Saturday type of thing. So I know that was something that stuck in my mind. Also, when it came out, it scared the living shit out of me. That's a vague memory I have, is the first movie scaring me for some reason, even though now it's super campy.
Oh, I mean, it was pretty campy back then.
Oh no, I know. It just scared the hell out of me.
That's funny because it didn't me, and you're older than me.
Well, give me a rated R movie where people's heads were getting chopped off. Wouldn't bug me. Give me something with like fake witches and it'd scare the living daylights out of me. I just thought it was hilarious. So, drug traffickers arrested in California with 150,000 fentanyl pills released after just days in jail. How do you get 150,000 fentanyl pills is my first question.
I don't know. I just wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. How deadly fentanyl can be.
Yeah,
it's
no shit.
It doesn't take hardly anything to kill you. So
there's a graphic somewhere along the interwebs. If you type like in most addictive substances and what it would take to kill you, is it has in these little vials that shows cocaine, heroin, and then fentanyl. It's like 2 or 3 grains in there.
Oh yeah, exactly. The heck with trying to come up with. You're a spy agency and you want to kill somebody easily. You don't have to come up with anything difficult. Just put a little pure fentanyl and they're dead in moments.
Yeah, it's
scary stuff.
It really is, man. It really is. And I think this is it almost feels like the difference. I used to hear people talk about how in the late 60s and early 70s, there was the whole free love movement and whatnot. And then the next generation had AIDS, It's like you have this generation that was able to get away with everything. And then the next people that came along are like, dude, we can't even possibly think about anything you just said. Now it's like, oh yeah, we used to do all these drugs and we used to go to raves and all this kind of stuff. And these new people are just like, wait, you did what? You took drugs from just some rando guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
You could do that back then.
All inmates booked into the Tulare County Jail, I know I butchered that, are sent through what is known as the risk assessment process through the county probation department. The risk assessment is then sent to a judge with court order, who then determines whether or not the individual's arrest is held on bail or to be released. And they were released, which I would figure somebody who had 150,000 fentanyl pills who can kill millions of people, I figured they got to be a risk.
Yeah,
it was worth $750,000.
That's so cheap. That's so bloody cheap.
Well, see, that's the thing about these synthetic opioids like fentanyl and all that. It's cheap to make.
Yeah.
And it's scary as hell.
And people are starting to use it to like cut other drugs with. Hey, all we got to do is put a little fen in our heroin.
Yeah.
And then we get the people that are on the heroin addicted to the fen, or it just makes the heroin that much better, so they keep coming back. I mean, is
fentanyl addictive?
Oh yeah,
I didn't actually realize that.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, you're a heroin junkie. You go to John Charney, you're a heroin junkie. You go to your dealer and you get a 10 spot of heroin, and there's 3 heroin dealers on that street. The guy whose heroin got you that much more high, you're probably going to go back to.
I guess.
And it doesn't take much fen to throw in your heroin. It's not like you have to cut it with, all kinds of stuff. It's just, it increases your demand.
Wait, fen. So now it has a cute nickname?
Oh, it always has.
That's
an OG one.
That's a little odd to me, but hey.
Yeah, why not?
So here's...
We don't have nicknames. I want to ask Rob something. Shut up.
Uh-oh.
So, Rob.
Yes.
What does the DOJ leak mean for us?
Oh, so
Oh my goodness,
so
dude.
this is the California Department of Justice's website that apparently had all the list of every concealed weapons permit holder in the state of California. Everybody's purchased a firearm in the state of California within the last 10 years, including multiple lists, things like the ammunition purchases, and all this, all in the open. I mean, it was available for just about anybody to download and take. And the problem with
addresses,
yes,
phone
names,
numbers,
addresses, phone numbers, driver's license numbers, all kinds of stuff. And this is all a list of all law enforcement officers and judges and others that should never be out in the
celebrities,
as well as
politicians, people who, you know, in California we have the what is it referred to, Rob? The needing a reason to have a concealed carry.
So
Not anymore.
and that was one of the things that it was interesting that this all happened at the same time. My first mind goes to conspiracy, but so
No
the
shit.
Supreme Court came out with a decision in New York about needing a cause basically to get an issue at CCW. California kind of has that too. Each of the sheriffs within the state of California can make their own rules. But so in California, it's known as a May issue.
May
So
issue.
if you
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a May issue. So if you applied and you had a reason, according to the sheriff of the county you lived in, if it was good enough, then they may issue you a CCW.
And part of the thing that actually people were pissed off about of the May issue is it does tend to be, getting to my point, of politicians, celebrities, rich people,
Right.
you know, like the high risk, quote unquote, sort of people, or, you know, that the state of California determines high risk. You know, God forbid you just want to defend yourself.
Yeah, it's the highest political donor.
Yeah.
In Southern California in particular. But,
Yes,
but,
right.
You know,
But those people's information is on that list the same way as everybody else's now.
Oh yeah,
And
it is absolutely. So this is a horrific thing.
Yeah.
And so what basically it means for California, and our attorney general came out the day the decision from the Supreme Court came out. He came out and said, okay, now California is no longer a May issue; it's a shall issue, which means that if you apply, you don't need a reason to want one. Now, if you have a good record, and by the way, folks, if you're out there listening, there's an extensive background check situation that has to go forth for CCW people that want it. You know, you have to have a clear background. You have to have, you're going to be, your whole background's going to be looked at by the FBI, by DOJ, by everything else. And so don't start freaking out. Oh my God, there's going to be guns running around everywhere and blood in the street. Doesn't happen. Okay. That doesn't change. But what does change is you no longer need cause. James, would that answer your question?
Yeah.
So
it did, but
that's
it
already been
really doesn't make
established.
me feel any better.
Okay. Yes. So the Supreme Court came out and it's already established. And our Attorney General in California already came. Okay, that's fine. No longer do you need cause.
Wow. I wonder what the wait time for LA County is going to be.
So I heard from one of my people. Everybody's got people. One of my people that in San Francisco, within the first 30 minutes of the decision by the Attorney General, 50 people applied.
Yeah.
Within the first 30 minutes. And so that means it's going to start blowing up on them.
So you know what you've never needed a reason to do? And that's Play Audacity. Who is our sponsor? That's your cue.
Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game where dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people.
Now do us a favor, use MadTrio, all caps, all one word for 10% off your final order. Make sure you tell Audacity that the MadTrio sent you. And well, hopefully we're going to have Miss Audacity herself on sometime soon.
Yeah, great. So anyway, I was a long way to get around to James's question that started. So yeah, I probably won't make you feel any better, but I understand where you're coming from, and hopefully I answered your question.
So have you guys...
You're muted, James. Just noticed.
So have you guys ever wanted a question answered so much you were willing to spend a lot of money? A man did just that. A die-hard Nintendo fan spent over $40,000 buying Nintendo stock and then asked the top executives why the company won't make more of a fan-favorite series. This is an insider article, by the way. A gamer asked execs during a shareholder meeting this week about reviving the game series F-Zero, which I have no idea what that is, and I'm...
That's the one?
Yeah, right?
Of all of them?
He said he spent 5.6 million Japanese yen, or over $40,000, on Nintendo shares for one stock unit. He told the insiders that he's been playing Nintendo games since he was a child and is a die-hard fan. A gamer said he spent. Fan asked. I'm not going to even pronounce the president of Nintendo's name. The company has considered relaunching some fan favorite franchises, specifically F-Zero, which was a racing game series that hasn't had a new entry since 2004. Wow.
Yeah, that's because he called first. Hey, why aren't you guys making this game anymore? Like, sir, we don't have the answer to that question, sir. That's maybe you can try a Reddit forum. And then he's like, okay, well, let me talk to your boss and your boss and whatnot. And they're like, sir, I don't have an answer for you. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to buy part of the company and then sit there and be like, now I'm your boss. Answer me.
So apparently one unit of stocks is 100 shares. So 100 shares for 40 grand.
Wow.
I wish him luck. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that'd be the question I was asking Nintendo. Of course, I don't know if I would pay that much money for asking Nintendo a question.
I don't think I've ever played that game. I'm looking at it.
I've heard of it, I think.
Yeah, I know I've heard of it. I don't know if I actually ever played it.
I don't know anything.
I might be thinking of an arcade version or type game that's like that.
Here's a benefit, though. In May, Nintendo announced that a 10-for-1 stock split would take effect October 1st, which would split each share into 10 shares. So he may potentially be getting a windfall, depending on how Nintendo does in October.
Well, you know what? That's the thing, is that it's hard to say that he spent that much money to get the answer to that question. He took a gamble on an investment to get an answer to that question, but that might pay off.
He was investing in his entertainment.
There's been many times that I wish I had that kind of money just to smack somebody.
Right.
I'm going to buy this company and become your boss.
And become your boss and fire you.
Yeah, exactly. You're out of here.
That only happens in the comics, unfortunately.
Yeah. So did you hear about the cruise ship that hit the iceberg? And I'm not talking about the Titanic.
Lately.
Yes, I'm not talking about the Titanic either.
Not like legit 100 years ago.
Was that Edmund Fitzgerald?
Yeah, the Norwegian Sun, which is what are they? They're I don't remember what cruise line they are, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Apparently, it hit an iceberg Saturday near the Hubbard Glacier in Alaska. And it was forced to turn around and head back to Juneau for inspections to see if it was going to sink. Fortunately, it was not out in the middle of nowhere. And it suffered enough damage that everybody that was on the cruise ship had to get off that cruise ship and find other ways to either continue or head home.
You'd think they would have learned from the Titanic.
How dare they call themselves descendants of Vikings?
Yeah, huh? So... So yeah, anyway, the damage was severe enough that they weren't it wasn't going to be a sinkable type of moment for the ship, but they had to head back to Seattle for repairs, but they could only go half speed, and so it was enough damage. So imagine the embarrassment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think Carnival gets the brunt of it, but I think all of the stuff from Carnival the last bunch of years has really just trickled to the cruise industry in general. So, I think all of these cruise lines are trying to dig themselves out of a reputation.
Well, COVID didn't help. That's for sure.
COVID,
shit.
COVID just destroyed cruising. I mean, the whole idea for $1. Yeah. The whole idea of being stuck on a ship like that.
Probably can buy a cruise for $1 now.
Just about. I'll tell you what, and I be honest with you, I kind of enjoy cruising. I mean, I did do a cruise to Alaska. I did a cruise in the Bahamas, but the whole idea of being stuck on a ship during a pandemic, like it was just frightening on those early ages. When COVID first hit and the ships were out there and nobody could disembark, and all of that stuff was like frightening, absolutely frightening. So not interested.
I got distracted by watching James walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to go in a different room. Yeah, my brother's been in a cruise ship a few times. I've never had a desire to do it.
Yeah. They're a great lazy way of going to see things. I mean, it was a great way to see Alaska, to be
And
honest
getting
with you.
fat.
We
Because all
did
you do on
well.
a cruise
You
ship
can.
is fucking eat.
Nobody's forcing you to eat all that food just because it's there. Doesn't
Bullshit.
mean you need to eat it all, but
I disagree.
It's there, so therefore I must eat it.
You're going, I paid for all this food. I'm going to eat every bit of it.
Well, I on a cruise was I want to say 16, and it was you tell a kid like, hey, you're going to go on a cruise. It was a Mexican Caribbean cruise, and it's like okay, we're going to go on a cruise. Like that's cool. That's beats a road trip, I guess, but didn't have kind of an opinion one way or another. And then for kids, even teenagers, it's your parents get on the boat and they just let you go. They're like, well, you can't even if you get lost, you're on a boat.
Yeah.
So
just don't fall overboard. You're
basically
all right,
was like the only rule, right? Don't fall overboard.
So your parents never
we'll
let
meet
you out of their
dinner.
sight then, right?
And then I did this thing where I'm walking down the corridor at like 3:00 in the morning with like a dozen people that I met, and there's my dad walking by me with like a beer in his hand, and we're just like, hey, well, see you later. It was actually a really, really good time.
Yeah, it can be a good family thing. The only thing at this stage of my life is that I don't really want to be on a boat with a bunch of screaming kids. It's at this stage I wanted to be an adult only ship.
I totally know what you mean. The idea of an Alaskan cruise though has always appealed to me because I think that's how I want to see Alaska.
I got to tell you, so we did the boat tour and we did a land tour as well. But the boat, one of the neatest things is we got to go into some of the bays and where the glaciers were calving, and we just got to watch it, and it was just spectacular. It was.
You've
really
seen
fantastic.
Actual calving in real life?
Oh yes, seen it, heard it. It's unbelievable.
That's that's one of those things that I know the videos and things, even though I can tell scale and things like that, but that just the video will never ever be able to do that kind of thing justice.
No, it doesn't, and it's unbelievable to be able to watch it, and that's why I tell people, you're going to do an Alaska cruise, do it in one of the smaller ships, because then you can go in the fjords. See this, and it's just amazing to watch, and you get a scale. You get to see the scale, the size of these glaciers, to get a better idea. Because when you're there and you're looking and you see this little tiny boat out there, these things are coming. You go, oh my God, no wonder they have people die from this stuff.
Yeah, and there's one thing to see that little boat, on my computer screen or even on my phone. And you're like, oh, I can understand the size of this wall of ice right here, right? But you're not feeling it. You know what I mean? Like you see the people's reaction on the boat, and you're like, wow, that must have been crazy.
I've always wanted to go on one of those gimmick cruises, like Chris Jericho, the wrestler, has his rockin' raging wrestler at sea. Or if High Times ever did a cruise, I'd love to go on that just to people watch. I think that'd be hilarious. Just because I want to see how many of the crews are like, that's not going north.
I think you would be begging to get off that ship in an afternoon.
Oh, I guarantee. But it would be hilarious to watch.
That's too funny.
As long as you're on the outside, I bet I'd love to see the rules. Like all these cruise ships have rules for these gimmick things. So I'm assuming High Times would have no smoking indoors. So everybody would be hanging outside of portholes and decks.
Well, that's why you want to get the balcony.
That whole inside of that ship would look like the inside of a resonated bong. Just be all yellow and caked up.
But I've always wanted to do one of those gimmick cruises. Like when I was a kid, we did a Disney one, and which was amusing when they tried to get a somewhat non-sociable kid to be social with all the rest of the people. It's like, well, fuck you. I'm just going to play shuffleboard. That's pretty much what I did the whole damn time. Like, I'd rather be by myself, thank you.
John Charney, the 9-year-old, 80-year-old.
Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
I was always kind of a cranky bastard. And talk about something that I'm actually kind of excited about or horrified. The next Ghostbusters movie is coming in 2023, allegedly around December 20th. There's no official plot,
like a sequel to the latest.
Yeah. So there's no official plot or casting news. It's generally expected the film will build off the post-credit scene for Ghostbusters Afterlife, where Winston Zeddemore reveals he's now a huge, wealthy businessman, and he decides to relaunch the Ghostbusters. And have Ryan? Have you seen Afterlife?
Yeah, I did.
So, yay or nay? I wanted to ask you.
I have to try to look through the, movies like that can definitely just keep hitting my nostalgia button, and
Yeah.
it's just, I'm getting that dopamine fix. Like that guy keeps hitting the morphine button in the hospital, So yeah, you can keep hitting my nostalgia button. I think that they wrote a love letter to the original movies,
Yeah, definitely.
I like that they kind of took it to the place of the next generation of those exact people and things like that. And I thought they did a decent job. I mean, obviously it's a little more, I know saying it's more fantastical is kind of a stretch based on what the original ones were, but they take some extra liberties with physics and things like that, and the type of engineering a teenager can do, sort of thing. But I still enjoyed it. I think I had a good time watching it. I'm not going to discount that.
I've seen it once, and I'm going to try to set time aside to watch it again. But no, the first scene, it had me hooked from the very beginning. I'm a little concerned. I just because, like Ryan said, there's nostalgia, and they already foreshadowed the issues if you've seen the end of the movie. I don't know. I'm excited. I did hope. I know we said this before. I kind of hoped they did it when they had the all chicks one. I was hoping that would be a continuation instead of the shitty movie it turned out to be.
Yeah. That was more of like it
was Keystone's
spiritual
Cops.
Sequel than a direct sequel, kind of a thing.
It was Keystone's Cops meets Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And not funny like Keystone's Cops is. This should make Ryan and James sad. California's Great America is closing within 11 years.
Well, that's up here in the Santa Clara area.
Okay, yeah. Theme park.
Yeah.
Cedar Fair has announced that it has sold the land on which California's Great Adventure sits. It will lease it back for at least 11 years before the park closes for good. The $310 million deal with the real estate developer Progress is part of an eventual wind down of the park, according to Cedar Fair Press. So pretty much, I'm bummed because it's another theme park. It's another one of these things.
Those things you grow up with. The whole idea is, hey, my parents took me to this thing when I was a kid. I want to take my kids to this thing and try to have that same experience,
Well, you better hurry up and get some kids, Ryan.
Shit, I know, right?
Looks like Knott's Berry Farm going away. It's kind of right.
The Ren Fair, the Renaissance Fair came back into town, after the COVID hiatus and whatnot. And it was just a year before that me and a buddy found out that it still happens. We were talking about some fantasy thing, and we're like, dude, I used to go to the Ren Fair when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, I've never been to a Ren Fair. And I'm like, I wonder if they still do it. And it used to be about an hour and a half away from me. I look it up. It's 10 minutes down the street, and it was happening the next month. Like, dude, wow. We gotta go. Because I hadn't been there as an adult. I was the kid with the wooden sword, running around, laughing at the wenches and things. As an adult, you realize immediately, like, oh, this is about day drinking. I see what's happening here. Yes. And, that's where I got my fancy pipe. And smoking.
There you go. And smoking.
You mean your
and,
tobacco?
and you know, so me and my lady, we got, you know, some Ren Fair costumes and whatnot. And we go there and we're having a good time. And it was all I was thinking is like, oh, dude, this is why these things are still here, is so people can take their kids and show them like, hey, this is how we used to have fun back in the day. You know, isn't this still fun? You know,
I did see something that I've always wanted to do if I ever go to a Ren Fair. I want to be the geek that shows up in a Star Trek uniform.
there's always one, you bastard.
Hey,
What's funny actually, because we've gone a couple of years, there's always a TARDIS.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know
Doctor
when the
Who.
TARDIS started, but the last few years we've gone, there's been a TARDIS just sitting
That's
there like,
funny.
is that a TARDIS? Yep, that's a TARDIS.
Great. Good on them. That's fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
And they do theme weekends. You know, they'll have like a pirate weekend. The last weekend they do is always like a it's called RenCon, and that's like the straight up, you know, just show up kind of however you want. But yeah, no, I love the people that take it super seriously. And you know, good food, your overpriced beer. I bought a drinking horn, which I thought I had around here, but I don't. And that's when I discovered mead is goddamn amazing.
Yep.
And
Then that whoever made the mead did a good job. Then is what you're saying.
yes, this was actually a semi-mass-produced mead.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
you
it came
know,
out of a
flavored?
can, but you can tell. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I can't remember what flavors. I know there was pineapple and something or other, and I can't recall, but they were really tasty. I didn't know that you can make mead sparkling. I don't know why it didn't occur to me, but you can.
Yeah.
They actually have a honey vendor
Mm.
that sells full-on starter kits for, hey, you want to make some mead?
There you
Here's,
go.
47 pounds of honey and, a couple of jars. And
Go for it. Yeah.
You know
what is
You
amazing?
can make mead.
how you can
and they've
listen.
got all these different types of flavored honeys and things like that. And
Oh,
that's
that's cool.
part of it. What I love is the artisans that come
Right.
out, the leather workers, the blacksmiths, and things like that. Everything's
Yeah.
crazy overpriced, but
Of course, but it's fun. That's all part of the
Unfortunately,
experience.
unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up. It's past the old guy's bedtime, so do us a favor. Check
Over
out
the hour.
if the old guy can hit the right button to tell us how people can actually pay attention to us.
Okay, here we go.
Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game where dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.
Shout out to Melanie.
Pick up a card game.
This one's for
from
you.
this website or selected stores. That's Audacity. Do you want to unforgettable party game on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com.
I'm just hitting buttons. It doesn't matter what order. now.
If
I'm
if
just-
all you didn't know how to find Audacity, go to audacity.com, use MadTrio, all caps, all one word, for 10% off your final order. Make sure you go to themadtrio.com to pay attention to what we're doing. And as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.